Welcome back.
No, welcome back to you.
No, welcome back to you.
No,
Long time no see, kind of.
is it? I was going to say, I think it's been a long time no here.
Long time no record. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because I have seen you.
Yeah. So let's catch people up on
Yes.
all the things. So, because we've definitely taken a hiatus from recording because of reasons.
Because of reasons. What were those reasons? Those reasons were things like, as we all heard in the previous episodes, me moving. So, as of this past weekend, which was, we are recording.
Let's just say as of this recording, this is a much more important milestone.
Yeah, as of this recording, I have officially 100% moved everything from Maryland to Michigan. And so
everything that you wanted to.
Everything that we wanted to.
Isn't that the great thing about moving is the purge? Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's painful. Don't get me wrong, but to not have to take that stuff.
Right? Well, it was a little twofold there, because what it was, man, I really hate getting rid of this. But then it's like, why did we hold on to this for so long?
Yeah. This thing I haven't seen in 10 years. I still have
exactly.
This.
So we lived in our house in Maryland for 14 years. And as I've stated in the past, it was a small house. 5 people, 985 square feet with a basement. So do the math. It was tight. We made do, and it was fine. But what was interesting about the whole thing was when we went to go and get a U-Haul truck, and there was the 20-footer, which is, it says that it could be, up to a 3-bedroom house. Like, okay, well, we've got a 3-bedroom house.
If you're good at jigsaw puzzles.
If you're good at Tetris, which...
Yeah, there you go. That's better now.
Then
3D Tetris.
Because I was Tetrising the living bejesus out of that.
If we turn the bed upside down, put it in backwards, and if we slide it in with the refrigerator under it,
I got so much stuff jammed in there, but unfortunately, I didn't get everything in there, because what would have been better is to go and get the 26-foot truck,
right, and have room to spare.
And
right.
No,
you would have been worse at the jigsaw, at the Tetris.
I kept calling it Jenga, but Jenga is when you're unpacking and trying not to have everything fall over. Exactly. And Tetris is when you're packing.
Yeah.
So
the good thing about a tightly packed truck is you don't have to tie anything down.
Oh no, absolutely not at all. Everybody was looking at me, like, how did you get all of this stuff in there? And I'm like, hey, don't question me. I will get it in there.
It might get damaged on the way back out, but
it might be damaged. A few boxes were squashed. Nothing of, great importance was crushed.
But Cormac, your job is to be good at coordination. That's basically what you're doing. You're coordinating.
I've helped schools in the past prepare for the phased while occupied construction and things like that. And just helped out teachers, in those schools kind of pack up the best they could to move to either their new location or whatever, and just, be very smart about it. And then, in the military, I've packed up, and when you're packing up to either A, go to combat, or B, just go out on a what's called a field problem, then you really are, you're a master at packing. You really are. So
you could start offering packing consulting services as a licensed architect.
I could. And so no, we didn't get everything. So last weekend, we moved the truck and got everything here, unpacked everything, and, it's Box City around here. So then my wife and I were sitting around and we were like, okay, when do you want to go back and get the rest of the stuff? The stuff that didn't fit. And
so is this take another U-Haul, or is it just take the cars?
So this was let's try to do it by trailer and, by U-Haul trailer. And so we didn't have a hitch on the truck, but it was actually good to get one on the Jeep because we wanted to get one anyway.
And U-Haul does that for you. They'll install it.
Well, they do, but theirs was far more expensive. And then I found a place around here. I mean, like you can't like shake a stick without hitting somebody who installs trailer hitches around here.
Okay, this is a thing.
This is a thing.
Everybody tows. What are you talking about? You don't have a hitch? What the hell are you?
And where did we go to get said hitch?
I can't wait.
The Hitch House.
Hitch House. You need a little jingle for the Hitch House. That's awesome.
It was like, wow, they call it the Hitch House.
Yeah. It's like, we're into the obvious business naming schemes over
exactly.
Here.
It's like, there is no question what they do.
Right. Well, you could get married there. I
guess you could. I mean,
I went in to get married. I walked out with a trailer hitch.
Exactly.
Got a new jingle. The beginnings of a jingle.
I got baggage one way or the other.
I was going to say I got hitched. Like you can leave it to the imagination to figure that out.
Yeah.
But dang, you took it to a new level.
Yeah, one that I'm going to get in trouble for.
Right. Well, everybody deserves to be as miserable as us.
So we got the trailer hitch and we rented a trailer, but they were like, look, you only have the 6-cylinder. You're limited in the size of trailer that you can pull. And I'm like,
well, yeah, every vehicle has a tow.
Yeah. But, just this one time, over capacity.
This is everybody with a towing vehicle. It's like, just this one time I can go over. What's unsafe? Like stopping is no problem if I start early enough.
Because we were driving past a couple of different like U-Haul trailers on our way back to Maryland this past weekend to wrap everything up. And we're like, I think that's the size that we rented. We rented a 5x8, which was what they said was our limit. And no, what
then
we were
see
looking
a Prius towing like it.
Well, no,
some giant thing.
No, we saw some like 8-cylinder like Yukons and stuff like that pulling the bigger one. And I was for some reason thinking that was the one that we got, which was not. If that was the one that we got, then we would have been fine with what we had left. So, but what we had left when we got the trailer and we were looking at the trailer and looking at the size of the trailer and looking at the Tetris, that we would have to do for this little trailer, we went through purge number 2.
Oh yeah, it's second purge, right? This is like second breakfast for the.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah,
and so as we went through all of that, we looked at everything and just got rid of what we needed to get rid of, and now we're here. And so we're officially recording from. I'm recording from my new studio place.
Congratulations! This is a momentous occasion.
I get to take the deep breath.
You got to christen the studio with smash some champagne over that old laptop that you got.
I think that would be the last time that laptop would ever work then.
Right. It's only 13 years old.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Apple Computer for making that thing.
Hey,
that battleship.
That battleship is still working reasonably as efficient as the new PC that I have. There are a few things that, like, apparently I have now reached my limit of how much I can update the Google Chrome because the most recent...
They don't want to support any of that old stuff anymore.
The most recent Google Chrome does not...
Speaking of baggage, my Mac is baggage.
Oh, yeah?
No, yours is. So
mine is, yes.
All right. So what else happened? This has been so many things. AIA conference.
AIA conference. So your wandering trip.
Yeah, this was. I flew to Chicago, got a nice nonstop flight, and you had like this. I don't even think we have time to get into this.
No,
you had this crazy. You were checking your doing orientation with your son for his college education, which starts in the fall, which happened to be like the the week right as the conference was starting.
Yeah, so
and you were invited to come to the conference with us, and
exactly.
You're like, I don't know that I'm going to make it, and then you had some other issue. I can't even remember what it was
now. I think it was a similar issue.
It was your knee.
Oh, yeah, I blew my.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
you're like the day before. I just heard a snap in my knee and I can't walk.
Yeah, the very first day of freshman orientation at Northern Michigan University, which is not quite the most northern you can go in the state of Michigan, but pretty close. But it's way up there. And so not only were we doing the whole like micro moving at that time, my wife was finishing up her school year. My daughter was finishing up her school year. Everything was going on. So like everything was happening at once. And it was just like head spinning already, but then also to go into the orientation and then try to map it out where I could be able to, okay, what time do I need to leave Marquette, Michigan to get down to Chicago where I can still make it on time to meet up with you and then head over to a river cruise that we were on, which was amazing, which I made, but I did it with a big bulky knee brace and a limp and lots of drugs to aid in my ability to actually walk. So it was all incredible.
I can't believe you actually came to the show.
I honestly can't believe that I did either. I did.
Once you say yes to something, Cormac Phelan, you don't back out of it. Unless it's a conference.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, well, yeah. As we're recording, I did back out of one of those, but
right.
I don't need to be on every single call of every single day, because if I was, there would be absolutely no work being done.
Well, let's talk about AIA conference in Chicago. That was really great to see people in person again. I can't even believe it's been 3 years since we have been at one of these. And I think the last one was Las Vegas.
The last one was Vegas. And this one seemed more intimate in a way. It wasn't, I don't think the floor was as big as
it wasn't.
Vegas.
It wasn't. I have a weird perspective of the show though, because I didn't get out and go to the whole show floor because I was in a booth, which is, the tables were flipped on me this year. But I am interested to hear your kind of feedback about what it was like to walk the show floor. I know they tried a bunch of different things. I had a lot of conversations with AIA about they had an opportunity to kind of rethink the show floor by having a couple of years off, right? They canceled the one in LA. They canceled whatever. I don't even think there was one in the cards for the year before that, but they thought maybe they would come back in LA. That one got canceled. And then now we're in Chicago, and they worked with Perkins and Will to kind of lay out a new show floor with this big diagonal. And they talked about it as bringing the place to the show instead of bringing the show to the place. So they had a bunch of park-like settings on the show floor, and they named the streets after the streets in Chicago, and they named the parks after places in Chicago. I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay, so, different perspectives here, obviously, because, you were kind of booth-bound. And
oh, yeah, I didn't get out at all.
I'm going to use the big air quotes, walking around or
You
hobbling
needed
around.
A wheelchair.
Yeah.
Old man.
Yeah. Which was kind of depressing only because I really do like walking around Chicago and enjoying Chicago.
Well, that boat tour was epic then for you because you could just sit there and bring Chicago to you.
Exactly. So the one thing that was interesting though is that whereas New York, and maybe it's just because, we were all able-bodied and we're really eager to get around and really start to
That
explore.
was like 4 years ago, man. We were way more able-bodied back then.
Yeah. But it almost seemed like because of where the position of the convention center is it didn't seem as easy to just like jump out of the convention center, go for a walk, and catch some architecture the way that New York or Philadelphia was. Now, Philadelphia
the New York show forced you to.
The New York show forced you to because, right. It's just like,
they programmed it all over the city.
Exactly. It's like, hey, we're going to be meeting here, 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 and here. And,
They
gave
got a
you
lot of hateful feedback for that, actually.
They did. But in a way, though, I don't know if I was 100%. I don't know if I disliked that one.
Oh, I enjoyed it. I thought having the keynotes in Radio City Music Hall
was
instead
fantastic.
of a conference center.
Exactly. I mean, why would you not? I mean, it was if you've got the opportunity to use some of these, just famed places, go ahead and use the famed places. And so I liked and enjoyed that, that interaction with the city, whereas it didn't seem as interactive. And again, I'm going to just throw out the disclaimer that because I was a little hobbled, I wasn't able to get out and about as much as possible. But
no, but you're right. You had to Uber if you wanted to go anywhere.
You had to Uber everywhere.
And I honestly, some of the rumblings I heard was that I think AIA is, when they're putting on a show like this, they're fighting to keep people at the show when there's so many other distractions out there that architects want to go see. And the reason why is because manufacturers are paying for booths on the expo floor. And if people aren't at the expo floor looking at those booths, manufacturers are like, what am I paying for here? This doesn't make any sense. And so the AIA has this struggle to attract people to the expo floor for those 2 days that the expo floor is open, when there's so many other cool things going on outside in a city that many architects are coming into, that they're either haven't been there before or want to see new things, or, for various reasons want to get off the expo floor, right, and go do that stuff. So I can imagine that's a rough struggle, because you got to deliver to the people who are paying for that expo floor to happen.
And you're in the hotbed of all of this different like architectural history that you learned in school, the birthplace of the skyscraper, where Frank Lloyd Wright had practiced, and they're so prevalent of his work there, and there was just so much stuff to like be seen. There's Mies, and there's Louis Sullivan, and there's all of these other
Gary, and there's tons of stuff. It's incredible, and there's the struggle is further, like the weather was amazing for the most, like, except for maybe one day where it got really hot and most people weren't even there yet. I mean, it was during the
let's see. So when you got there, it was really hot, but then the weather turned really well. And then when you were leaving, it started to rain, but it was bookended by,
I don't even see rain in Southern California. So
exactly.
Cool.
But it was bookended by, two different, weather events, but it was the actual like event itself was just perfect weather. It was nice and comfortable.
Oh man, that river cruise was incredible. The weather, the lighting, everything. They did fireworks out over the lake. I mean, it was, and you couldn't have asked for a better evening to do that river cruise, right?
Absolutely.
And so this is what AIA is competing with, because when they do it in a city that people want to go to, people want to go to the city. When they do it in a place where, like Tampa, right, where it's not a walkable thing at all, people don't show up. So this is a battle that they're trying to figure out. It's got to be tough.
Just I need to set the record straight here. It was Orlando. And
sorry.
And Orlando is,
I don't know my Florida geography.
Tampa, funny enough, if they would have had it in Tampa, although Tampa, we didn't really have like the greatest of architectural things to go see, it would have been a far better place to go, because you actually are in downtown and you are a little bit more walkable, and it is a smaller city and things like that. But I'm diverging because
thank you for the real-time correction. I didn't want to get
slightly offended that you invoked my Tampa Bay area.
You're a Floridian, that's right. You're a Florida man. You are Florida man.
Ouch. But Florida is not Orlando.
I regret the error, and also we did opt out of that show.
We did opt out of that
reasons.
Show. Yeah. Well, okay. So again, the thing that was interesting about the opportunity that I would say Philly, and I would say that New York offered, that say Atlanta was good. Atlanta was really good because
it was good. It wasn't great.
Yeah. But
there needs to be some variation in the scale here for sure.
Yeah. But what those two is that there was an active engagement with the city, the active engagement with the places that you actually did want to see. And so you were able to engage with the city in a way. Now, maybe it's because Chicago's more of a Midwestern city. And even though there is a core downtown, there are other places that you want to see that are a little bit more suburban. And so, there is this, almost demand to hop in an Uber or hop in a car and drive around and things like that. But I think, maybe this is something that as the committee is starting to look for other places in the future, that are outside of it's these second tier cities, I guess you can call them, that, do offer those opportunities. I mean, I honestly feel like I bet Indianapolis would be a great place to have it. People would be like, why Minneapolis? Why, or Columbus?
Never been there. Want a reason to go there?
Well,
while we're giving advice to the AIA, what about having because I was in a booth, I noticed on Thursday traffic. This is how we on the booth side of things judge what's going on. The amount of traffic was awesome. Friday, it was not. And the reason why, all the courses are going on. So my advice, because honestly, I feel like the expo floor, it at least needs 2 good days without parallel programming going on, right? 3 days would probably be even better. It would be difficult for anybody who has to work in a booth for that long, but there were 20,000 attendees there. How many did I see? I don't know, not very many, right? Compared to the 20,000. And there were over 400 booths on the show floor. So they're not going to see all of them. And if they are, they're running by them. They're like seeing them in passing. They don't get to spend any quality time. So my recommendation is move the courses online.
And I agree with you there.
Let other people participate in those. They could even be pre-recorded and even better than when delivered in person.
True. So I was thinking about this because it was almost there, but not quite there. So think about this. If, they had a few course areas, smattered throughout the expo floor, right? Arrange it more where you've almost, where they were going, but weren't quite there, was if you're going to have these grand boulevards of like the main thoroughfare through the expo hall, and then all these kind of like offshoot roads and things like that. Create a little town square for each of them. Let that town square be where you have them, but then set up the, town center of booths around those that, kind of more correspond with those particular courses that are being given. Like say if you're doing a rain screen system, get a way for the vendors and the courses to interact a little bit better. So when you're milling around waiting for, say, a rain screen type course, have it set where all of the rain screen vendors are so that you can sit around and talk to them a little bit. And then when it starts, they go in there and, they've got a little bit of insight. And then if they want to learn more as they're done with the course, they come out and they're in rain screenville.
Yeah. That's a great idea. But the AIA makes a show about the AIA and they put their booth in the middle and it's enormous. And it's like all roads lead to the AIA instead of flipping that and making it about the things that you're talking about.
Right. And so, things like that, would really help engage a little bit more. I did appreciate the fact that, they did set up, all of these like little park benches and stuff throughout with a couple of trees here and there. But let's be honest with you, I actually saw less people sitting down inside the expo, but more actually sitting outside. Like they left the floor, went outside because there's more floors. There's less kind of like congestion, and honestly, it felt a little cooler out in the entry area than it did inside the actual like area. And so I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of unused space
the boulevards were wide. And I think that was just to compensate for I think there's still a lot of manufacturers out there who are not sure they want a booth again, right? And they didn't show up.
So I actually, manned your booth for a little while you guys were giving a luncheon presentation. And as just a person who's like a goer who will engage with a booth if I feel like it, I see the struggle with those people who have booths, because people just walk by, they like look at you, they may big emphasis on the may, make eye contact with you. And if they do, they may like smile, or it's like, oh, please don't talk to me. Kind of like, comment. It's only...
Yeah, it's kind of that used car lot that you walk onto. Right?
Exactly.
And it's like, I'm just here to look at the cars, man. Please don't talk to me. Yeah.
Exactly. And they're there to like, sell you and talk to you and all that other stuff. And so after working your booth, I made a more conscious decision to actually actively get out there and start engaging with.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's all about that, right? If you want to give all of your peace and power to the other people there who just want to have a conversation with you, and you're going to do everything you can to avoid it, that's a sucky attitude to have on a show floor. Like, and I'm not trying to judge anybody here. Like all I'm saying is if you flip that script like you're talking about right now, and you go out and it's like you're the one who does the engaging, and I get it. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody's. You're introverted though, so this is a good, way to have this discussion. It's like, no, like this is about me. I'm here to do this stuff and have those conversations with people. I totally agree with you. Like, that's a great way to experience an expo floor. It might be draining, but you'll get to recover, right?
Exactly.
Later.
Yeah. Well,
on the way home or whatever.
It honestly was the realization as I'm, working your booth, and then I left your booth. The realization is that, wait, I'm never going to learn about any of these people if I don't actually like walk up and engage them. Now, it's not, it's a little outside of my comfort zone to just like, start a conversation out of the blue, but
that's why they're there.
But that's why they're there. Just like you walk up and they're there to basically, you just say, okay, tell me what you're all about. You and I were talking to the guy about the low flow toilet, and
our next door neighbor.
Next door neighbor, that
booth neighbor. Yeah,
exactly. That I was, watching the people who were engaging that particular one. And what was interesting about it is that here's something that is providing quite a bit of conservation to your water usage, but nobody was stopping to talk to them about it.
Well, because how do you know that? By looking at the booth, right? It's like, I see a toilet. I don't think beyond the toilet, right? Which is what their message is. It's like, it was about gallons per flush, and it was about the technology in the tank, and it was about the design of the toilet itself. It was all these things. And it's like, how do you communicate that? How do you project that message out of your booth? It is so difficult I can't even tell you how much planning and iteration and design went into our booth. And I would say our booth had a lot of activity, definitely compared to our two nearest neighbors.
Yes. Yeah. But what was interesting about it I don't know your experience when people were coming up to your booth, but the main question, what is tech? That was the first thing. It's like,
yeah, because what can you do? You can put a logo up, but how do you? So yeah, we had an 86-inch TV in our booth, and part of it was displaying a slideshow, and we had 3 different cameras set up, and we had audio coming into it, and we had an image up there and all these things, and it looked like a command and control center for like a TV station, right? And it was very high tech looking, but it was also very media driven. And so on one level, it was like attracting people to come up and say, what's going on here? There's a lot going on here, right? It's not just like a 13-inch TV on the wall trying to display the toilet technology. Yeah, it's an interesting design problem for sure. Especially when you're just in a 10 by 10 booth and not something that people can walk through, right? That's a very different booth than a 10 by 10.
So there, and there was like the, okay, this is obvious. We know exactly who these people are and what they do and all that other stuff. And so when you do go to those particular booths, you're really there to just say, let's just use a friend of mine that I've known now for, going on 14 years. He's now with, I guess, one of the show sponsors, not our show sponsors, the AIA show sponsors, Kingspan. Mm. And all politics aside, I went there mostly to just, catch up with him and chat with him. But I also, because, I have used not only their rain screen systems before, but other rain screen systems. And I simply asked them, okay, well, what's new? So it's kind of this weird level of engagement. It's like I visited the people that I know and I'm comfortable with. And so I went to those booths to say, hey, what's new? I've used your product before.
As kind of the opening statement.
Yeah. As kind of the opening statement. Or I've never really used your product before. I've heard of it, but I'd like to learn more just so that I can understand about it. Because, as I guess in a way a project influencer, when we're specifying things, right? We want to know what that's all about. And the thing is that I find it very interesting because there's also there's the levels of engagement of like the show goer. And then there's like the levels of engagement of the vendors, because there are people, like, it was interesting. It's like you guys were out and engaging people. You wanted to talk about why you were there. And so you would walk out into you guys were right on the main kind of like boulevard, and which was just a great opportunity because you were, as people were going to the AIA booth, which was like at the center of the storm, and everybody else there was a lot of foot traffic going past your booth. You guys would go out and engage them and talk to them about it, and really, and then it was almost like the extrovert introvert type approach to, having a booth there. There was a lot, I would say probably the majority of them would only engage if you engaged, and I was curiously wondering why they would do that, because like you literally are paying a lot of money to be there at that show to sell your product. Why aren't you?
Yeah, and we're not even there to sell anything. We're there to let people know we exist. And I think a lot of booths, like to your point, so if I had to guess why, the answer is because those people are just paid to man the booth. They're not the owners of the company. And I think there's a different mentality when it comes to that, right? It's like there's the ownership aspect of it, which is, yeah, we're paying a lot of money for this. This is a fantastic opportunity. People are back for the first time in 3 years. Our booth, what we're about is people. We're there to talk to people and just, engage. And these other booths are there to sell products, or at least market their products, I should say. And they are much less inclined probably to have that kind of engaging, outgoing, behavior that you're talking about. And it's just people who are hired they're salespeople, or they're not the ones who are looking for a direct return on investment for this opportunity. And they probably go to a lot of shows. They were probably at NeoCon, and they were probably at, there's all of these other shows that are happening like the week before and the week after. And this is just kind of the thing that they do, and they're used to it. And it's like, well, if we engage with the people who walk up to us and who are interested, that's good enough. It's a different mentality.
So, that was we're talking a lot about the show floor, which is interesting, but I guess it was also because, here we are starting to come out of our hibernation of several years of being away from these types of shows, but also
our people. Yeah.
Just everybody working from home, and now getting to the point where they're starting to engage with other people. And, it's like, oh, I'm out and about. Like, do I remember how to like talk to people? Which I thought was great. The show itself, there was, I didn't get a chance to see all of the keynotes. I did, go and see the keynote, which was the closing keynote with President Obama, and that was good. it wasn't the best that I've seen of the keynotes. In fact, actually, his wife was much better.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And, but I think it was because of the format of how it was. He was engaging. And I don't say that the AIA president wasn't, it just seemed a little, I don't know, a little contrived, I guess. It was,
thought there were some nuggets in there, but you had to look for them, right? It wasn't consistently engaging, and it was very off the cuff. I mean, obviously the questions had all been kind of pre-vetted and had been thought about, but there weren't. There's nothing negative or bad about this, but there weren't prepared answers, right? And so it was very like off the top of his head, and there was some great stuff in there on leadership and how to engage a community and things like that. But I kind of agree with you. It was just like listening to a slow talk, a conversation, kind of like our podcast, right? It's just like, it's not pre-scripted. Here's the thoughts as they're coming out. And on one level, it was kind of like listening to a podcast. And on another one, it was like, how cool is it that we're here listening to President Barack Obama, right? Everybody was there for that, for sure. But I kind of agree. There was nothing really meaningful to me that came out of that. And I'm sure other people did get very meaningful things out of it. For me, and maybe it was just because I was fried after 2 days of being in a booth. But at the end, it was just like, I don't know, take it or leave it for me. And that might be kind of sacrilegious to say, but that's what it was. There were other events that were way more meaningful to me, like getting to go visit our friend of the show, Jeannie Bay, in the Canon office and get a tour. I hate to say it, but going into a Mies van der Rohe building up to the 11th floor and visiting the Canon design office, getting a tour from our friend and having a happy hour there was super cool. And just getting to see a lot of the work that they're doing, that was awesome. And then we also got to go see your. Once again, I got to tag along to an Auburn alumni event, and meet some really incredible people. Like actually, Platt Boyd is going to be on my podcast. So
and just to find out, I mean, I was kind of floored at what Platt's doing, and maybe we'll put a link in the show notes for his company, but this just 3D printing some, pretty amazing kind of like rain screen and
huge facade systems. Yeah, incredibly.
I mean, it's just it's what it does is it kind of shows like the way that the game is changing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Totally.
That
you've seen all those amazing grasshopper geometries and renderings and things like, and now it's actually you can actually build that.
Because in the past you're just like, oh yeah, this is great as a student project. It's just this kind of like wacky, fun, weird shaped building that you just will never be able to build. And we are now on the precipice of being able to build that.
No, you can build it. Yeah, well, I don't want to say you can build anything, but you can build a lot of stuff we could never build before. Right now, it's incredible, and they're 3D printing the stuff, super large scale panel systems that are then shipped to the site and erected on the facade out of Tennessee. I mean, it's just incredible stuff they're doing at Branch. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes. That was really cool.
It was, and I'm looking forward to listening to your talk with Branch and Platt specifically on what they're doing, because it's it's exceptional. And it's just in a way it's somewhat like also dumbfounding and prideful. It's just like, hey, look at what these Auburn folks are doing. Because there's again, just be prideful of the fact that there are a lot of people doing some pretty phenomenal work out there that have this degree from a school that most people don't even know where it's actually at.
Right. Yeah, it's incredible. Good stuff.
Yep. How many times I've had somebody say, "Oh, you went to Auburn?" Like, that's in New York, right?
There's an Auburn, California.
There's an Auburn all over the place. There's an Auburn Hills, Michigan, but just the Auburn in Alabama.
The Auburn,
the Auburn,
the original.
Yes, the loveliest village in the plains. But yeah, so it was kind of interesting, and so we got an opportunity to meet up and catch up with all sorts of people and catch certain things as well.
Yeah. Well, before we go there, we did get to drive, as you drove me to the airport. Yes. We got to get out and go visit some architecture. Finally.
I felt it almost a shame that you were there in Chicago and have been to Chicago before, but have not been able to see Oak Park. And
once you're in the city, it's hard to get out of the city. Right? There's so much to do in the city, and then it's like, oh, how am I logistically going to get out of the city to go visit Oak Park? And there's always something to go back to at these places. Like there's still things in New York that I've never been to, right? And it's like, yep, it's still on the list. Still got to do that. So Chicago's not very different.
It was good to get out there and just, drive around. We had, breakfast in a good old mom and pop diner.
Oak Park Diner, yeah. That's not the name of it, but that's what it was.
But a diner in Oak Park, yeah. And, it was nice to get out and see it, that it was a little rainy, so we didn't get a chance to, really get out. We still got out because, that's what architects do. It's like, rain be damned. We will see it.
Yeah, so we got to visit Unity Temple from the outside. Did not have time for the tour. And the tour that they were running that day when we were it was like a deep tour. It was a big tour. It was a long tour. So there wouldn't have been time for that, because it would have been cool just to step inside and see it from the inside.
Well, we went into the lobby and realized that, looked at it and then realized that the tour was going to be this, god awfully long, tour. And, we were basically in the middle of taking you from downtown, swinging by there and getting you to the airport.
I think it was like a $60 tour. Like, these buildings are not cheap to maintain, right?
No, not at all.
So, anyway, we opted out.
It's so here is the interesting thing is that, so since then, I've kind of gone on these deep dive tours on YouTube of all these different Frank Lloyd Wright documentaries.
You have not been sharing these with me.
I should have. But, one like Unity Temple. Well, what's interesting, and I do need to share this with you, is the 1923 experience of his in LA area, or, California, with all the California concrete houses, and learning about them, kind of like the dark times that he was coming out of when he was doing these, and kind of almost like doing these almost like mausoleum type houses and kind of like funerary type, places and stuff. And just how there's in certain of, I think there's 4 or 5 houses, and that, some like the Hollyhock House and things like that are like, really well maintained. And then there's like there's one in particular that is falling apart.
Well, the Annis Brown house was in that state of disrepair. I think it has been fully restored at this point. Maybe that's the one you're talking about. Maybe
I think so. These were older ones, but it's just kind of it's both kind of a shame, but also it's just like, well, everything kind of like falls to decay ultimately, right?
Yeah, but he was the chosen one, and none of his things should ever. We expected more, Frank. We expected more.
I still, to this day, just every time somebody says, his stuff will last forever, I'm like, yeah, but I accidentally kicked through a wall.
That's right, at that school in Florida.
It was concrete too. My foot should not have gone through that wall, and it did. And if God, I was
just patching walls last week. Here at that.
I hope the statute of limitations has run out.
Yeah, it has. They're not looking for you anymore.
No, not at all.
Well, it was cool to see so many of his projects all in one place, right? Like that to me is what's really special about Oak Park. Is it's like, okay, we can visit Unity Temple, then we can go to his house, then we can go to these 4 houses that are right next to each other, and then we can drive 2 blocks and see 3 more, and wow, incredible!
And and it's such this interesting kind of like, variation. It's like, here's the houses that he was doing when he was moonlighting while he was still working for Sullivan. And you can see that there's a little bit of like, there's a little bit of tradition. There's a little bit of him. There's a little bit of Sullivan. And so there's like this evolution of his voice slowly but surely coming out. And then you see his house, and then you see all of these other houses that are purely him and his voice. And you see like, it's just like pretty amazing.
And you can just see him from the outside, but still you get this amazing view of design. Like it's pretty incredible. The variation in design that happened there.
I need to do a deeper dive on Sullivan and stuff like that, in the future, but yeah.
Good stuff. So then he took me to the airport, right? And every flight that I had got changed. And so I was supposed to fly home through Austin. I was supposed to take out off a certain time. That flight changed. I was now going through Phoenix Airport. Oh, goodness. But none of the gate, like if you fly in and you got to change planes, you are going to go like a mile to the other gate. Luckily, there was enough time to do that, just enough time to do that, and make a phone call to my wife, let her know when I was going to be home. But it was like, that's when I started to feel it. That's when I started to feel like, okay, the fatigue. What is it finally catching up with me? I felt great the entire time we were at the show. I felt like I had stamina. I had strong. I can't believe I just said that. I had stamina. I had energy. It was like we had so much to do. Like, it is no joke setting up a booth and having to deal with the yard and getting into the place and the unions and unloading and the time allotment that you have to do unloading before the tow truck shows up, and how are you going to get the stuff into the center of the show floor, and you got to navigate around all this trash that every booth's getting set up at the same time. How do you get through there? How do you do multiple loads? How do you do all this stuff? And then, I mean, I still felt, even when we were in Oak Park, I still felt really good. Like, okay, this is no big deal. I walked 25,000 steps every day. I was still fine, right? And then when I got to Phoenix after that first flight, I started to feel the fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got, and I texted my wife, I'm like, we were supposed to, her dad was supposed to come over that evening for movie night, and because she was like, do you want to do movie night? Do you want to do that? Could we do this thing all the time? It's like, yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to get back into that. And then I text her, I'm like, I don't think your dad should come over. Like, I'm not sure if this is the thing, but it might be the thing, right? And he's 80, so he's not coming over. So then when I got off that second plane and I stepped back out into the heat of Southern California, I felt terrible at that point. And I was like, yeah, this is probably COVID, right? Probably COVID at this point. So anyway, it was.
It was, yeah. We had breakfast that morning that you were flying out. And then I started to drive home. And I started to just feel blah and run down. And, I had the, trip from basically Chicago to Detroit to make. So it was, a 5-hour drive. And, I kept, again, not, just thinking that, oh, well, exhaustion has caught up with me. I've been running for, like trying to get here from DC to Detroit, get from Detroit to Marquette, Michigan. All of that was like a 9-hour drive from DC to Detroit to that one was another 9-hour drive, and then a 7-hour drive down, and then the constant walking and everything else. I just thought exhaustion was catching up with me. No, exhaustion brought a friend. And I had just had a conversation with people because they were just like, somebody had said to me, how have you avoided COVID throughout this whole thing? And I was like, well, I've tried to be, smart about it. And then here I go, this first time thinking that here I am in a group of architects, and, they've got this good protocol for, for checking in and making sure that you're vaccinated and or you've got a negative test and everything.
None of that matters.
Well, what was funny is that they checked, and I'm going to throw big air quotes, the one the first day I got there when I was checking in only.
Yeah, I've heard of other conferences where they make you check every day. But but still, like, it's like, what can you really do? What can you really do?
And I'm not gonna like bash them for it. It's just that they try to install the protocols that were dictated by CDC, dictated by the current norms and everything else, and what other conventions were doing. So they weren't doing anything reckless or anything like that. It's just I guess in a way, and it falls on me honestly, because I had several of the friends that you and I met up with, were masked and stayed masked, and thankfully they got to avoid it. And then other people who weren't masked, did not avoid it. And
I don't know. That's potential correlation, but not. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I haven't been sick in 3 or 4 years, and I caught one. And you know what? Before that 4 years, I got sick every year. So it happened. No big deal. But it happened.
Yeah.
Here we are. I'm still here. I didn't go to the hospital. I didn't have to be put on a ventilator. It never even got close to that, which is awesome. I'm definitely counting my blessings there. But at the same time, I got sick.
It was definitely no joke though either.
It wasn't. I got a major, major fever, like probably the worst fever I've ever had. But beyond that, I'm okay.
And unfortunately, when I got home,
You passed it along?
I passed it along to my wife, my oldest son, which was interesting because, when I got home, I saw everybody, my daughter, my, both sons, and only my oldest got it and my wife got it, but my daughter didn't get it. And
she was stuck in a car with you for a long time.
And she was stuck in a car for, 7, 8, 9 hours. And it was interesting because 2 out of 3 of the people who were in the car with me got it, and 1 did not. And she was the closest one to me, which was just
special. That's what it is. She's your special favorite. Once again, it comes out on the show that she's your favorite.
Always playing favorites.
Dad's playing favorites. I had more adventures after COVID. Even got to go on I had booked a year ago a whitewater rafting trip with one of my boys who got sick. So we had to postpone that for a whole year because of the California wildfires also. Thank you very much. And so the entire river got shut down after that point. So we couldn't even postpone it just a little bit. We had to postpone it a lot. And then I went this year with a different son who actually wanted to go rafting. And it was an amazing trip. And then we extended it and did a bunch of fishing because that's his favorite thing in the world to do. So I basically didn't see my wife for 3 weeks because the first week was Chicago. The second week was COVID, where, I saw her, but it wasn't quality. She took care of me and kept me alive. But then I was gone another week after that with my boy, and it was a epic fishing trip.
You guys caught some stuff too.
We did. We caught 28 trout in Sierras of California. It was really fun. Just something that, making memories. I know he will. He actually sent me a text afterward. He said, I loved that trip. I will remember it forever. And that was enough for me. So it's always nice to get a text message from your children, your offspring. That's positive.
Yeah. That was very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good to be back behind the microphone. Had some great adventures though for the last, I don't know, it's been a while, man. So it's good to catch up with you.
5-6 weeks.
I can't believe that you actually moved. That's just
here's the funny thing is
Herculean effort, my friend.
Yeah. And that is, as long as I've been talking about this particular move, or at least wanting to do this particular move, it's been essentially the 14 years that we lived in Maryland, because Maryland
we were just passing through, man. That's what we thought.
It really was something that we thought we were just passing through. And And so to finally make it happen, be homeowners again too,
right?
Which wasn't sure that was going to happen, especially with kind of like the craziness of the market, which anybody who's been either looking to sell or looking to buy, really kind of probably understands and knows what's been kind of going on with like interest rates and things like that. But we got to the point where, we were like, okay, if this is going to happen, it's going to happen now. I mean, like daughter is going into high school. We want to make sure that we get her set up here so that she can go her full 4 years here in, the Grosse Pointe area. And so, we just said, okay, let's do it. And so it all started with my wife, when they sent her a, hey, it's time to renew your contract for work. Cause they do a yearly contract with teachers, where she worked.
You sound like this is my wife, except it's the yearly subscription to Revit.
Exactly.
She's like,
exactly.
I am not going to renew it this year.
And so, she was just like, this is it. And so when she made the decision to not return, then we started looking for a house. Poof, got a house. I had the conversation with my office, to, switch to remote working, and everything was just a whirlwind. I mean, it happened so fast, but also felt like forever.
When you're in the middle of it, it's like,
yeah, it was both. Why is this taking so long? And holy crap, this is moving so fast. And that was kind of like the past, 4 months of my life, if not more. I mean, it is weirdly, we've always been planning on moving, but never really like seriously planning on moving.
Yeah, right. If it's plan B, it doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then this time it was just like, okay, here's the trigger, pull it.
And like I said before we hit record, I can't believe you have a 9-hour drive almost directly west from where you used to live, and you're still in the same time zone.
It's still in the same time zone.
That's crazy to me. I thought for sure you were going to be in Central Time. Nope. Still in Eastern. Well, that's good for you and your office. You don't have to worry about.
Yeah. I mean, I get to. You
don't have to do that conversion in your head every single time you want to schedule a call. That's awesome.
Or, it's just like, can we not have this one because you guys are going to be making me wake up at an hour early or something like that. No, good thing is that I'm still on the same time zone and still able to just, roll in. But it's the sun, it sets late and all this other stuff. So I actually get to, once I log off for the day, I actually get to enjoy a little bit longer of a day.
That's because you're a little further north. Yeah. You're probably a few degrees.
I mean, the sun really isn't setting until like near 10 o'clock.
So you're on the mitten. You're on the bottom of the thumb of the mitten. Well, congrats on that, on fulfilling that dream. That's super cool.
My wife is very happy because she is close to family. In fact, that's where she's at right now with everyone.
Yeah. Hey, if you could just unpack all those while I'm gone. Yeah, I would love to come back to a fully set up house.
Yeah, exactly. But, so now we get back to our regularly scheduled recordings, and I don't have to worry about, hey man, can we skip this one because I got to move, or I got to drive to Michigan,
or we
have to go look at a house,
or we have a conference,
or we have a conference, or we have a fishing trip, or
there's still plenty of stuff coming up.
Oh, there is.
There's a lot, but yeah, agreed. It's good to be back.
Because I did the old freshman orientation. Now I got to do the freshman move-in.
Oh gosh! At least you don't have to go as far. You're a lot closer now, in the same state at least.
Still 7.5 hours.
Oh, all right.
It is in the same, and which is funny is like everybody's just like, wait, you can drive 7.5 hours and still be in Michigan? I didn't realize it was that big. I'm like, dude,
California's like that.
Once you get west of the Mississippi, like all of the states start getting bigger and bigger.
Right.
They just kind of gave up on like, like we packed everything in, nice and tight
so weird
on
to
the
look at.
East Coast.
I saw something on I can't remember where, some social media thing or something. It's like if you just objectively look at the map of the United States, it would look like we actually started on the West Coast and moved east, right? Because we realized like, oh, we got to cut this up tighter. We got to get everybody in here, right? No, it's so weird to see that kind of westward expansion, literally. Right?
Exactly. I mean,
with the state lines.
It was just kind of this point of it's just like, whatever. It's just like, hey, I want to be this big. Okay, sure, whatever. California is just like, I want to take up most of the Pacific Edge. Like, fine, you pay the highest, GDP
everything.
Everything. So go ahead, you can have whatever you want.
Right. Yep. Can't wait to get out.
And that'll be for another show.
For another episode. All right, man. Talk to you soon.
All right. You too.
Thanks for listening. This show is part of the Gable Media Podcast Network. See all the shows at gablemedia.com. That's GABLMEDIA.com. You can help support what we're doing here by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help get the word out, and don't forget to share it with your friends. We'd love to hear from you, so leave a comment on the website at archispeakpodcast.com, where you can find our entire catalog of shows. Talk to you soon.